sources. In 1907, only 8% of all dwellings have electricity. In possibly October of 1910, Mihalo, or Michael, Igvorsky Pupin, sometimes called Pupin, working at Columbia University in New York City, was the first to see what a person sees from behind their head in infrared, microwave, or radio wavelengths of light. Pupin may have used a grid of metal photon detectors and made use of the photoelectric effect as Philo Farnsworth in 1927 and Vladimir Zworykin in 1931 did. Pupin may have seen then that there are two screens in the human brain and the brains of many other species. Screen 1, which records what the eyes see, and a second screen, Screen 2, which records what the brain thinks, as a scratch pad where people draw and remember images. For example, visualize in your mind a green triangle. This is drawn on Screen 2. One of the most terrible decisions in history happens at this time, the decision to keep this invention a secret from the public. This tremendous achievement was not announced to the public, but was kept secret, although many people in other nations would learn about this from the unstoppable free flow of information and duplicate it within a year. And so at this time the first lying sack of shit was invented. Intensive research continued secretly on all fronts, and it seemed clear that in 1911, although possibly not until 1913, people who currently remain unknown to we excluded figured out how to record information from at least two more screens from the brain. Screen 3, which records the sound a brain hears from external sources in the universe, and Screen 4, which records the sounds of thought a brain creates. For example, the audio thought, "Where did I leave my keys?" Probably in 1912 was also the earth-changing, tremendous, and mind-altering find that images and sounds can be sent back to those four screens in a person's brain, or the brain of any species, by remotely causing neurons to fire by using certain wavelengths of beams of light particles. An image or sound pattern can be stimulated on neurons by duplicating the natural stimulus in the brain. Exactly when and where and by whom this happened is currently unknown to the excluded, but all those with information are invited to share this with us. Possibly Thomas Edison and associates developed this technology, or Alexander Graham Bell and his Bell Labs, or maybe this find happened like seeing thought at Columbia University in Manhattan, New York. Perhaps this finding grew from research on the neurons of squids, which are very large and could probably be easily made to be triggered remotely using various wavelengths of light. Then this was applied to the smaller neurons of other species. How neurons within a brain can be activated is unknown to we outsiders, but perhaps 3 or more beams are triangulated to activate a specific point in a brain. This is a very critical find, because this stimulating neurons using beams of photons allows images, sounds, smells, tastes, the sensation of being touched, feeling heat, making muscles move, and perhaps other unknown stimulations in brains to occur. Whoever the person is that first figured this out clearly is a major figure in the story of science, but is either publicly unknown or this invention of remotely stimulating neuron cells is not on their list of famous inventions. Perhaps this is the mysterious DP, just like Michael Pupin is the mysterious MP or MIP. Whenever you see phrases like "made it possible," think Michael Idvorsky Pupin. This must have been the result of a major and systematic investigation of the brain. Using this advance in technology, remotely stimulating neurons in the brain using beams, many new things could be then done. For example, images could then be sent to screen 1, where the eyes see, by stimulating neurons in this area. And this makes objects appear in front of a person or a brain, as if the objects were actually there in a person's view. But the images are simply beamed onto and stimulated in a person's brain. Images can then also be sent to screen 2, what the mind sees, and then appear in a person's mind, but not in front of their eyes as if outside in the universe as they do with screen 1. On this screen, screen 2, the image is in a person's mind. For example, beaming an image of a banana will make the owner of the brain see a banana just barely, almost subconsciously, and may then make the owner of the brain consider eating a banana. A third result of this technological advance is that audio could be sent to screen 3, what the ears hear, producing sounds that the brain actually hears as if they were sounds coming from the external universe outside the body, while in reality these sounds are only beamed onto the brain. A fourth result is that audio could be sent to screen 4, what the mind hears. Stimulating neurons in this area with audio information will cause the brain to hear sound in thought, as if the sounds come from an internal source, not from an external source. These sounds will sound the same as when a person remembers a sound, such as a song in your mind. There are other places in brains where smells can be recorded and beamed back, causing smells to be smelled or remembered by the brain. The feeling of touch, heat, and pain can all be caused with beams onto a brain. Yet another spectacular result of this new remote stimulation of neurons in 1912 of major importance is the ability to make muscles move remotely just by stimulating neurons in a person's brain or the brain of any species with a brain. Using this technology, a person can be frozen with their muscles permanently or temporarily contracted or frozen. A person can be made to walk off a cliff, given a heart attack, a stroke, to drive into traffic, and every manner of murder. This technology may have advanced to such a degree that all muscles of any body with a brain may be completely controlled all the time using this particle beam technology. But so far, in my very limited experience, those who control this technology, mostly in government, military, and police, and the phone company under influence of wealthy people, only contract my eyelid muscle or occasionally make my leg swing to stub a toe while I'm walking. But of course, the possibilities for murder of a human are terrible. Presumably, these beams are made of photons or possibly electrons. After 1912, these devices very quickly propagated over the planet, connecting with the other devices, mostly cameras and microphones, onto the telephone wire and are supervised by the phone company and government police and military. Once images could be beamed onto screen 1 in front of a person's eyes and screen 2 in a person's mind, and sounds beamed onto screen 3, what a person hears from outside, and screen 4, what a person hears in their thoughts on the inside, a new interface was created where a person interacts totally from their brain without moving a muscle to talk. A person sees video in front of their eyes as if there was a television screen in front of them, but the video is partially transparent and is an overlay over the image that is entering their eyes. Humans probably select video from various people's houses and their thoughts and get it beamed directly onto their screen 1 where they can see the video in front of them, or on screen 2 where they can enjoy seeing their neighbor's thoughts and latest home activities in their mind. To do this, these photon or electron beam transmitters must be placed in every room of every house and must be very small. They are also probably in telephone poles and street lights, on tall buildings, and of course in satellites. In 1912,